Father in heaven, we thank you for this group that's gathered here tonight. We ask that you would be here, guide us, give us wisdom as we look to the future of our county. And we thank you for this time that we can do that. In Jesus' name, amen. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Vote to approve.
Motion by Brand. Second. By Whalen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the February 5th meeting minutes.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Whalen, second by Baker. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comments.
You missed one. You missed one.
Did I?
Yeah.
Approval of claims.
That one.
We have claims this evening in the amount of $463.47.
Ridiculous.
All those in favor of approving payment of claims? I guess I need a motion
Your turn.
first.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I should have been second. You're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Skip right over that. Thank you. All right, well, we'll start out with Andrea.
How's everyone this evening?
Good. Yourself?
Good, thank you. So I'll start off with some good news and an ask for some support in terms of we have 2 local manufacturers who have submitted a product for Illinois Manufacturing Association. Every March plays off of the March Madness basketball theme, and they have a Maker's Madness. And so there's a call to any manufacturer in Illinois to submit a product, kind of an innovative product that they would like to put in the bracket. And then there's public voting. So I'll send a link to Georgia, but you can vote up to 5 times a day. There's 2 manufacturers, Adkins Energy and LK Manufacturing, have both submitted a project, biodiesel and refillable water bottle station. So hopefully we can get them into the next bracket so that they can compete. But it's kind of just for fun, and it would be great to showcase a Stephenson County manufacturer. So that heads off in terms of kind of business retention and expansion efforts. We have been kind of specializing in offering some programming for manufacturers, understanding that they are a big component of our local economy here. So last week we held in Illinois Manufacturing, we had a representative from there, Randy Prince, came and gave kind of a lunch and learn, talked about legislative updates, things that are pending, what IMA does for manufacturers, and had a healthy conversation around workforce. We'll have some follow-up communication with manufacturers. They have a training grant program that many were interested in, but we had TriStar, Honeywell, Adkins, and Snack King in the room that day. So we will also then be headed up middle of April, we will have a manufacturers roundtable. This is something that I think NIDA did back in the day, and I would like to reconvene those on a quarterly basis. This stems out of conversations we had with Honeywell following up from the tour we did. We had another meeting with the Honeywell folks, sitting down with Highland and then Freeport School District, really talking about their workforce struggles that they're having, what current training programs are being offered by Highland. Honeywell is realizing that they kind of pulled back from the community for a number of years and were an island unto themselves. And the repercussions of that now are many of the high school students don't even understand what happens in Plant 1. And so really trying to maybe rebrand themselves with the community here locally, reach out to the career academies of the high school and other local Stephenson County high schools, and start to develop that pipeline. They already have a connection with Highland in some training components, but looking how they can deepen those relationships. So some of the other hindrances or hurdles that their workforce is having around childcare, also around transportation. So hearing those things, that's not unique to them. And I've heard that many other manufacturers talking about their workforce. So it's time to get together, get in the room. We're going to start talking about education, and Highland and Freeport School District will be in the room as well for that first manufacturers roundtable, but hope to continue those conversations. Let's see what else we have going on. We held a business after hours in Pearl City last week, and I think that was pretty well attended. I know that what was the Yellow Creek Brew and Chew is currently listed for sale, and the local realtor had kind of hosted the business after hours there. It was well attended, and Matt Deal, the village president, was there. We had a good conversation about future expansion that they would like to do in Pearl City, how they'd like to grow. I know housing is a difficulty, and maybe a conversation about future expansion of the enterprise zone to help with residential expansion there. But I think anything that goes on the market, and I know probably there are other people in this room who are much more familiar with Pearl City housing market, it sells very, very quickly. And I know that there had been, in the 90s, some housing development that had happened. Yeah. Yeah. So potentially something to happen in the future, but we're scheduling follow-up meetings with Matt. Let's see what else is going on. We're continuing to work on putting together a wage survey for the HR roundtable. Again, this was an ask by really HR professionals from all sectors wanting to understand kind of what's competitive wage. They have data from state and national resources, but sometimes it's helpful to really understand the boots on the ground, and everyone was willing to kind of share information as long as it was anonymous. So we're going to put that together and help facilitate that, just to help our local companies be more competitive in terms of their business recruitment efforts or their workforce recruitment efforts. We're continuing to have conversations with a pre-apprentice program that's here locally called the Yield Program. And this is kind of a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. And it's really designed to take youth that are have a GED or a high school diploma, but really have not sought a future path in life. They've maybe gone on to more schooling, and they really don't have a career pathway. Looking to get them it's 4 days of kind of book work, and then there's 1 day of kind of lab work, partnership in this construction trades. So they right now have a partnership with the Park District to do some work, as well as rebuilding together Stephenson County, which is a local housing rehab program. They are kind of funded by a grant program, but there are future grant programs under the CEJA program, which I forget the exact acronym, but it's really talking about building a workforce for tomorrow that can help with clean energy, sustainable economy, looking at future jobs in terms of the alternative energy sector, which there's probably a heavy overlap between that and the skilled trades. The goal for this program is that any individual would come out of it, and they would probably, hopefully, go into, they would be a pre-apprentice, they would go into a union and start their formal apprenticeship program. So we're continuing to try to help them build capacity so that they can get more people into their program. We know that there is a need for more people to go into the trades. Let's see. We will have tomorrow night our third class of our base camp, which is our entrepreneurship training. We still have 12 participants. They're hanging in there with us. It's been really a fruitful and fun program. We're going to talk about marketing tomorrow night. And then there'll be one more class at the end of this month. And then in April, we'll have a pitch competition, and they'll have an opportunity to pitch in front of a panel of judges for $2,000 in prize money. So that can help them kind of seed their business. In terms of some back of house administrative things, we had strategic planning with Eric, just the same consultant that the county used 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago Wednesday.
Yeah, Georgia and along with most of the rest of our board was able to participate. It was a long day, but it was a very good day. In a couple of weeks, I just got a draft back from Eric this morning. A couple of weeks, we'll have implementation strategy session with the rest of staff. Our contract was completely approved unanimously with the city of Freeport. Since then, that happened earlier in February. I'm thinking what month it is. And so we're moving forward I have one job posted for our administrative services manager position. And we'll be looking to start interviews later this week. And just a couple of upcoming events. we have, most of our big events for March are done, but if you want to put on your calendar the Jimmy's concert, which will be held at the Masonic April 6th. This is a fundraiser for downtown beautification, so money raised here helps go to pay for services, planting and watering through the summer months. The Jimmy's is a very popular band, I think based out of Wisconsin. Yes, okay, good, thank you. We've had them on Music on Chicago before, and it's been a really great turnout. So April 6th, we have Home Show, which will be at the fairgrounds this year. That's Saturday, April 20th. And then Pretzel Fest will be the following Saturday, April 27th. And hopefully we will have weather like we had today and not snow. But any questions that I can help answer?
How does one get tickets to the Jimmy's?
You can call our office.
Your office?
Yeah, you can stop down. Yep.
And any chance you know how well the welding lab's going at Highland?
I don't know how well it's going, but I think it is. I mean, I know they had.
They already expanded once.
They are, and I think there's talk of utilization with Freeport High School. So part of the conversation when we had with Highland was, so that the Thedford Jackson or TJ Jackson is the head of the career and college services for Freeport High School. And so he was telling us at that meeting that they started a career pathway program at the high school. And so many of the students who are in, that would fall under probably the create category, he has way more students who want to get into kind of technical education, automotive, and they have a small welding lab at the high school. He has to turn them away.
Mm-hmm.
So the barrier they have there is just space. And so I'm wondering if there's a partnership that they could develop there with Highland. I can't answer your exact question, but it sounded, Scott Anderson was also at that meeting, and I think they converted part of the automotive area into that welding lab.
I was gonna say, I went to the open house, only because as part of the board, but my son is in the career tech welding program through the high school.
Okay.
And the old welding lab was on the far side of the automotive lab, and that is not being used anymore. It's taking up like the whole automotive lab. It's pretty impressive. It's
Wonderful.
state of the art, and I mean, it's got quite a bit of stations, and definitely a large improvement from the old lab. But you can tell they definitely put the investment into it.
And one of the things I also glossed over, and I'd be happy to send a digital copy for anyone. So I met with R1, and they spent some grant dollars to work with a consultant to put together Region 1 emerging industry clusters. So it's a real page turner in case you have problems falling asleep at night. You'll burn through this, but really interesting. We are not part of R1, so that's, but this study takes and includes part of a broader area. So includes Stephenson County. So really looking at the industry clusters that they mention here, electric vehicles, renewable energy, innovative agriculture, really stemming on from food and agriculture, and then IT and related manufacturing. So they do a nice job of spelling out the jobs and the careers that are really going to support that. These are looking at the clusters that are already here that are going to continue to grow. So it's good data. It was a good meeting with R1, and I know that there will be future developments coming out of that and initiatives. So any other questions?
A comment and a question.
Sure.
First of all, I know the school district, my wife was part of it at the time, was when they met with they called it then the Mid-Size Manufacturers Association.
Okay.
And they developed for the school, because the school was involved with putting together a certificate of employability.
Yeah.
Which was done
like the
then.
Work Keys program or something different?
No, this was something different done through the high school, where they actually presented these certificate to the kids as a employability certificate that they had worked with these manufacturers to prove that they were employable at that point of graduation. Then my other question was, do you know, and anybody can answer this if they know that, what the rate of GED graduates is at Highland? Because that test that they have to take has changed greatly and become much more difficult, and it has created a lot less GED graduates. And I didn't know where that was at, so when we start to talk about, we're gonna help these GED graduates, and we have 2 a year, I'm not sure if that's the number, but I'm saying I don't know where it's at, so I was just curious.
I do not know, but I can find out. That's a good question. I know that I think Highland supports that, as well as I thought the ROE had a program that helps with GED.
I think aren't they together with it?
I would hope so,
yeah,
in
I
this
think
market,
they
that they're working together. But that's, I've heard that the math, especially if you've been away from it from a number of years, the math component can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Sure,
Anybody else?
Thank you.
thank you.
Well done.
All right.
City council.
I gotta go run a kid, then city council. Otherwise I would stay.
I'll move on to you, Ben.
All right, in February, we did not make a deposit since I was out. That will be taken care of during this month. I was out of the office for about 2 weeks after my knee replacement. I did work from home as much as possible. IT Director Nate had me up and running with dual monitors, my laptop, my phone from the office rang on my laptop. That kept me busy. Nicole did a fabulous job communicating. If she had any questions, she'd call, she'd text, she'd email, but she kept the office in line while I was gone. She's priceless. She really is. We have settled all our violation letters that were given to us in January, and late fees were assessed for all of them. That brought in a pretty good chunk of change. I think there were 32 or 33 letters. So our office is still working on our iWork program to update each property's proper zoning. We have been working on a few property violation cases that have been turned into our office. So far, all of them were taken care of with just a letter sent out. That's wonderful. As the building season approaches, our office has seen an increase in phone calls about building permits. This is also good. And then during the next month or so, we will be out on the road doing occupancy inspections for permits that should be completed. I have received the job posting for the code hearing officer from Eric Borneman, and he is also reaching out to several attorneys that he believes may be interested in the position, and will also be posting that. I have come to, let's see, in the past probably 3 or 4 months, issues with buildings not being in their proper setbacks. Like one with today, he is actually 16 feet onto the farmer's field. It's just gradually, he's taken over. And the building is on his land, on the farmer's land, 16 feet.
Oh.
I'm not sure how we're gonna remedy this, but this is where the zoning department needs to do their due diligence and go out, do their 3 measures to make sure it's minimum 5 feet off the property line. So that's been an issue we've had.
It's a building?
Yes, a building with a cement drive, cement,
Oh, wow.
the eaves go underneath into tiles underneath the farmer's field.
Sounds like a pretty expensive sale to the builder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sound like a farmer that wasn't paying attention.
Sounds like he's gonna make a lot of money though.
Yeah.
If they can enforce it, that's the thing, because technically it falls back on the zoning office for not doing their job. Unfortunately, I believe if the inspections would have been done, and if they outlined it, because we're supposed to do 3. When they stake it out,
When was this done?
2012, I
Okay.
believe.
Cause that's kind of important.
Yes, oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
You keep
Yeah.
talking about the zoning office and I'm like, oh, that's you.
No, it wasn't me. And the ones we've had haven't been,
Okay.
they've been prior to 2015,
Understood.
so, yeah, in our code, it states 3 inspections. So if they're going to be where they're supposed to draw us a picture, if they are within that 5-foot setback, even if it's 10 or 20 feet, we go out, we measure where they've got it marked. Then we measure when they pour the footings or the gravel pad comes in. So then you know it's within your setbacks, but it was not done, so I've got to make a couple phone calls tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Any questions?
There's obviously not a fence up.
No,
Is it like wooded or is it?
No.
What am I missing? missing here? How's the farmer not say it? I mean, it's planted, it, right?
He rents it out. They're
Oh,
elderly,
okay.
so you would assume that the tenant would, but I'm not.
Well, he probably assumed they sold it or something, probably.
It just kept, you can see it in the Google Maps, it just keeps creeping out.
Okay, thank you very much. I do not have anything to report on soil and water since I wasn't here. And I don't have any report on recreation and trails, nor do I have anything on Black Hawk Hills Regional Council.
I can tell you, for trails, they did not have a meeting in February, but they're planning on having one in March. Don't have the date yet, but I'll be attending that. Black Hawk Hills, I'm having a meeting with them in 2 seconds here on the 27th. So I'll have some information on both next month.
Is that something you would like me to attend?
You know, anybody that wants to attend any of these meetings is more than welcome.
I'm just asking. I mean,
Black Hawk Hills, I've got to go to that one.
okay.
I'll find out more information about the trails and I'll let you know. And if you want to, that's great.
Okay.
If it doesn't work out, I can go.
I don't know what the dates will be, so.
They're usually on Wednesdays and usually at noon, but they haven't given me a date yet.
I have a few days to be up north, so I don't know. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I appreciate the offer though. Thank you.
On to the chairman's report, I guess, I had 2 meetings this month of interest to us. One was with Representative Sorensen, talking about a lot of different things there as far as budgets, as far as the money being allocated for different things. I don't know how aware you are of the CO2 pipeline issues that are traversing our state for different reasons, mostly from transporting CO2 from ethanol plants to what I call Southern Illinois, but down to the Decatur area where they want to store it underground. There's been some actual movement on that, but the majority of those pipeline companies have pulled back and they don't have them in the works right now. We knew that from Farm Bureau too, but they talked a lot about the Farm Bill. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And they were talking with Sorensen, money going back into education, hoping to have more money for our schools. This was him talking, and then also more money and being more efficient with the food banks and information that USDA gathers to determine who gets the food donations. So there was a lot of other things that we talked about there too, as far as climate change and SEGs and those kind of things. Nothing was really being done there. The second meeting I attended was a webinar with University of Illinois, but with the National Association of Counties. Spent a lot of time talking on the Farm Bill. Jim was also in that meeting, and so was Andrea. One of the things I always tell people here, that if you're not involved with agriculture, which we have a big group here that are, but when you look at the Farm Bill, 85% of the Farm Bill is nutrition. It's not going to agriculture to produce crops of any kind. It's going to all the nutrition programs. And so they really, when you hear, oh, we're spending $229 billion on the Farm Bill, remember that 85% of that is going to food programs. Also goes into rural health. And I found it interesting that we are fortunate in Freeport that we have a hospital. There are some places within our state that the only guaranteed health care that people have is when they call 911 to come pick them up in an ambulance, because they're that far away from health care. That's kind of a weird thought. So we're fortunate here. They're also talking about some dollars that will be available, and Mr. Helm might be important to you on some of the broadband and rural connectivity going on out there. And then there's a House bill that I was really surprised that has been presented in Illinois to bring the siting regulations and stuff like that for solar farms and wind energy back to the counties.
Praise God.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, you know, I mean, they're gonna try to bring that back to the counties. So, whether that bill gets any traction at this point, we don't know, but it has been presented, so we know that. So just a couple of interesting things out of those two meetings along the way. So,
So Steve, what you're saying is, what I heard you say was that only 25% of the farm bill is actually related to farming.
less than 25%. Yeah, there's other.
15%.
Yeah, well, it's between 15 and 20.
15, 20.
That's
Why?
correct.
Why am I not surprised by that? I didn't realize that.
No.
I thank you for sharing that, but
And those of us in the ag industry want to make sure that it stays that way. We want to make sure that we continue to couple the food programs and nutrition programs with agriculture. It's very important that we keep all of that together. We don't want to see that separated.
why do you say that? I mean, because what you're saying is that a good chunk of that is nutrition programs for people like school lunch programs. and
Right, that's all involved.
Things of that nature. Now, why would that need to be coupled together?
Because first of all, we're the ones, the farmers are the ones producing those products,
Sure.
so we want to be part of that. And second of all, as a farmer that's out there, if you decouple that from the farm program, we will never get anything else done as far as crop insurance or protecting a protective safety net for farmers. We'll never see that pass because there will not be enough traction with representatives and senators to continue that.
Because all the city boys and girls?
That's correct.
We don't represent a large enough percentage of the population anymore to garner attention without the food bank program, nutrition program.
Just another reason to split the state in half. Make Chicago its own state. Dead serious. I am very serious about that. I think that's one thing our founders, I wish they would have thought of, that once these population centers got so big, they should have had to be out on their own. Should have had to be their own states. I'm so tired of having to jack around with all these Chicagoites, telling everybody else what to do. But that's another point. Sorry, but thank you for
The
that.
problem is though, is that I would say I agree with you, Kim, but at the same time, you think a lot of the money goes back to Chicago, but there's a lot of things we wouldn't have in what we call downstate Illinois.
Yeah.
If Chicago wasn't part of our state too, which
Yeah.
makes it difficult to understand.
Yeah, I wonder about that though, Steve. If the structure was different, how it might work, right? I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree.
Yeah, well, I guess I look at it that I would rather that I didn't have to be a part of Stephenson County or near Freeport. Because my farmland doesn't ask for anything and yet you tax me like crazy.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, Tim, why are you doing that?
I'm not, Scott. I would eliminate property taxes completely. If I was king for a day, that would all be gone. I would have a completely
You just
different
kept
tax
saying
system.
you, so.
And the federal government would fit on my pinky finger, right? Pretty much. So don't get me started.
It's too late for that.
All right, moving on to new
Never
business.
too late.
That's okay. Approval of the iWork software for zoning.
This was approved last year. It's just our yearly, state invoice, so it's a yearly. I just had to get it approved through committee.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Brent, second by Baker. Any discussion?
Why is it so much? If we paid $6,500 last year, it's just an annual,
It's the annual fee.
really?
Yep,
It
and
seems
that's
like a
cheap
lot
on
for
the other ones
software.
I've looked at. It's amazing software.
Well, no, I don't question the value of it necessarily in terms of what you do. But that just, in my experience, that's a lot for an annual agreement. I mean, an initial cost of that much I get, but then the annual reading is usually, 20%, 25% of what the original cost was. That's all I'm getting at.
It was higher last year for implementation and setup and all of that,
So
so,
we had that one time.
yeah, the one-time setup fee.
That's all.
Is it the cost based on any kind of a matrix, sorry?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's cheaper.
And how many years do we have in that contract?
Once it's charged.
I would have to look. Hopefully for the life that I'm here, because we are putting so much into the software because it works so good.
I just did not know it was 5.
Should be in here.
I remember.
It's
I'm
not,
like, you looked at me.
I'm like, I wonder if I have it in my emails.
I think it's an annual cost, right?
that's it.
It says, management and support April 2024 through March of 2025.
And you get good support from them out of that?
Oh, gosh, I
That's
had an
good.
issue with a letter. The environmental health has it as well.
Mm.
And since they've moved, they changed their address to here. While I was doing permits, Nicole was doing permits. I caught it and after I emailed one out, it had this address instead of ours. I emailed support and within 2 minutes it was changed.
Good. Yeah.
I've not had one
If
that's
you're
like,
happy
you
with
know,
it, then it's.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
No issues with that, but.
Sure.
Just, you better be getting good support. from
It's,
that kind of
I
money.
can't, you know, it's been, here's the agreement, let's see, maybe not, Carl looked at it. But no, it's been
Very
great.
good.
Because if you're not, I will have a conversation with somebody.
Sure, no, the most I think we've had to wait was maybe a morning.
Good.
Yeah, it's never been a full day, 24 hours, nothing like that.
Well, and you bring enough in, I have no issues with spending money, and there's no doubt about that. I just, in my experience, I've done a lot with software over the years in the industrial space, like I was telling Brian, and typically we sell a package up front, and then the annual renewals, the annual support, things like that are usually a percentage of that initial cost. So it
Whoops, I'm
seems
sorry.
like it would be a little bit less than that. But that, again, if you're happy with it and it's working good and they give you good support, then I'm all for it.
Right here, it says, after the initial 3-year term, we can terminate within 60 days. So I'm assuming it's a 3-year.
So they're just giving you annual
Or maybe
invoices.
amortizing the overall cost over 3 years too, which is
So
fine.
that invoice says, like I said, April 2024 to March 2025.
I'd have to find the original signed one that's back in the office.
Yeah, that's okay then.
Could you just find out and send it to Georgia maybe, and then we can have it up to the board before Thursday board meeting?
Does this have to go to board? I didn't know it had to go to board then. Oh, okay,
Oh, okay.
sorry. But
That's right,
I can
because
do
of the
that.
amount, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't have to go. We have a motion in a second. All those in favor of paying our annual fee for iWork, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other comments from any committee members? Now it's your opportunity.
I don't miss,
Okay.
I'll just, I'm a happy camper.
All right, just leave it at that. I see no other old business. I see no one here for a public comment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Even got my clubs out today, Scott.
Nice.
3 holes with the boys.
Just 3?
Yeah, well, I didn't get home till